I feel like there's something in, for me personally, at least, not to get, super deep here, but like waking up and being able to just see the mountains.
Yeah,
And it kind of gets me going, gets it each day versus just seeing a building, just
yeah,
seeing the city. But for me
yeah,
personally, it gets me in the right place.
yeah,
And I don't know if you've heard that like saying of like, think about you being on top of a mountain and looking down to realize like how small you are in this world.
for
I,
sure.
I
Absolutely.
literally think about that every day because I'm right by a mountain where I
Yeah,
could hike up and do it. So yeah, at least for me personally, it gets me in the right mindset.
for sure.
There is this, what you've probably familiar, the Silicon Slopes,
Yeah,
where companies like, Weave and Podium, there Adobe's down there. So there's a lot of inspiration and technology that
yeah,
exists in Utah. I think you had
yeah,
Dr. Eric Roman on here, like he's down
yep,
that way as well. So,
yeah.
there's a lot of innovation and technology. It's certainly not like Silicon Valley in San Francisco, but
Hmm.
we have our own little tech hub with some of these earlier stage companies, even in the AI space, are here too. So yeah, it's a cool place to live. You should definitely come back and say hello. We should spend some time together.
For sure, man. Absolutely. I love it. Well, Mr. Matthew, you talk about the technology. I really want to kind of figure out, we know, based on just reading about you, is I want to know really what do you do in the dental space? How are you helping private practices, DSO? What is really your specialty? How did you get to this point? Why do you do what you do? That's the important thing for me is I just really want to figure out why people do it. Because sometimes you get into a field just because I accidentally you get into the field, and some people get into it for a purpose. So just talk
Yeah,
about that a little bit.
I I just recently realized that my dental career, it might have really started when I was about 15 years old. My mom, she was in the dental world. She took me to a conference and I just stood around and passed out like Rembrandt toothpaste. That's who she was working for at the time when I was 15 years old. So yeah, I was at a dental conference as early as 15. And fast forward to 2008, I started working for Dent Supply. Like a lot of people in the dental world, they start there because largest dental manufacturer, they hire a lot of younger people, either out of school or at least early in their career. And I did that for a few years. Then I went to Carestream Dental for a few years, and I really started to dive into the technology side of things with them. Did a stint with Align Technology as well on an earlier pilot program. And really since 2000, post COVID, I'm working with a lot of earlier stage companies that are trying to understand the dental market. And right now, I'm doing the same thing. I'm working with some earlier stage companies, advising them, but primarily I'm working with DSOs and dental businesses that are trying to understand their technology, trying to consolidate their technology, standardize systems. And then lately, a lot of the AI stuff that's been coming in play.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Deathman Podcast. Today I got Mr. Matthew McGaw. Did I say it right?
You got it. You
Yeah,
got
man.
it.
I'm always worrying about people's name. That's my biggest fear is like not butchering people's name. But
At least it's
well,
not snakes.
I know. Well, I'm so happy to have you on, Mr. Matthew. Me and Mr. Matthew have something in common. He lives in Utah. I went to dental school in Utah. Lately, it seems like the pattern is becoming. I'm bringing a lot of people on from Utah. We had Mr. Kaufman, then we had Dr. Roman on, then we have you on.
The list could keep going too. There's a lot of people here. I don't know what's going on. If the mountains are calling everybody's name,
I don't know what Utah has to offer that everybody from dentistry is getting attracted.
we're actually considering. Sarah and I have chatted about considering doing like a Utah meetup this fall
Yeah,
because you probably
nice.
know. The older you get, the more interested you are in the seasons.
Yes,
I feel like an old timer saying like, I'm really looking forward to the fall colors, right? But this fall, we're considering doing like a Utah meetup, and it won't be just exclusively to Utah people, but we could fill a room with just the people that are vendors and partners in the industry but also there's a lot of DSOs that are here
Mhm,
as well.
mhm.
Obviously, a lot of private practice also, but a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
DSOs are here. So yeah, we're looking into what that looks like. So we'll have to let you know. And you can come say hello to all
Absolutely.
your college classmates, maybe.
Absolutely, man. Why not? And then, honestly, I miss Utah, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed my time when I was there. The only thing that I hated it was when April would come around and it was still snowing. I'm like, go away already.
You got guys like me that are excited about it. We're trying to get our last like powder day in for the season.
I know, seriously. I had classmates, I never forget this. They're like, one more snow. We need to go up the mountains. I'm like, dude, I'm done with this.
Absolutely. Got to get it
Um,
in while you can.
I know, man. I know. But I truly enjoyed Utah, man. We went snowshoeing, we went up those hikes, we did some crazy stuff. So I definitely enjoyed my time there. All the national parks. Hey, you never know, man. I may make my way back to Utah.
But
We'll
for some
see.
reason, I don't think you will, but at least for long term, maybe temporarily.
Hey,
I
man,
don't
you
know,
never
man.
know.
I feel like there's something in for me personally, at least, not to get super deep here, but like waking up and being able to just see the mountains,
Yeah,
and it kind of gets me going, gets it each day versus just seeing a building, just
yeah,
seeing the city. But for me
yeah,
personally, it gets me in the right place.
yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard that like saying of like think about you being on top of a mountain and looking down to realize like how small you are in this world.
For
I,
sure.
I
Absolutely.
literally think about that every day because I'm right by a mountain where I
Yeah,
could pick up and do it. So
yeah,
at least for me personally, it gets me in the right mindset.
for sure.
There is this, what you've probably familiar, the Silicon Slopes,
Yeah,
where companies like, Weave and Podium, there Adobe's down there. So there's a lot of inspiration and technology that
yeah,
exists in Utah. I think you had
yeah,
Dr. Eric Roman on here, like he's down
yep,
that way as well. So,
yeah.
there's a lot of innovation and technology. It's certainly not like Silicon Valley in San Francisco, but
Mhm.
we have our own little tech hub with some of these earlier stage companies, even in the AI space are here too. So yeah, it's a cool place to live. You should definitely come back and say hello. We should spend some time together.
For sure, man. Absolutely. I love it. Well, Mr. Matthew, you talk about the technology. I really want to kind of figure out, we know, based on just reading about you, is I want to know really what do you do in the dental space? How are you helping private practices, DSO? What is really your specialty? How did you get to this point? Why do you do what you do? That's the important thing for me is I just really want to figure out why people do it. Because sometimes you get into a field just because I accidentally you get into the field, and some people get into it for a purpose. So just talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit.
I I just recently realized that my dental career, it might have really started when I was about 15 years old. My mom, she was in the dental world. She took me to a conference and I just stood around and passed out like Rembrandt toothpaste. That's who she was working for at the time when I was 15 years old. So yeah, I was at a dental conference as early as 15. And fast forward to 2008, I started working for Dent Supply, like a lot of people in the dental world. They start there because largest dental manufacturer. They hire a lot of younger people, either out of school or at least early in their career. And I did that for a few years. Then I went to Carestream Dental for a few years, and I really started to dive into the technology side of things with them. Did a stint with Align Technology as well on an earlier pilot program. And really since 2000, post COVID, I'm working with a lot of earlier stage companies that are trying to understand the dental market. And right now, I'm doing the same thing. I'm working with some earlier stage companies, advising them, but primarily I'm working with DSOs and dental businesses that are trying to understand their technology, trying to consolidate their technology, standardize systems, and then lately, a lot of the AI stuff that's been coming in play, really trying to understand what their strategy is and what they should look at, what they should implement. Really attacking a lot of the headwinds that exists. It's a couple of things like working with the DSOs on their tech strategy, but also really trying to. I'm always the guy that roots for the underdog in sports.
Mhm. Mhm.
being a Buffalo Bills fan growing up, we're a lot underdog a lot, even though this year we're not. We're probably I think we're favored in every game, but yeah, I've always wanted we're roots for the underdog, and so I really want to see these earlier stage innovative companies understand the market and come into play and have a really good impact on not only just the dental practices they work with, but also the patients as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do and how I got into it.
Yeah, that's I love that, man. The one thing that you mentioned is because I think in dentistry, this conversation around the system has become such a huge topic for everyone that says you got to have the system in place. You got to have the system in order for you to operate. So when it comes to the technology side of thing, for example, for the DSO, how are you helping them kind of implement some of this system with the technology so that they can improve day to day? Like, what are some of the key points that you touch up on in order to help them kind of grow their practices? Or what system do you help them put in place to kind of become more effective on their day to day?
That's a good question. I think number one, especially in this market, when you're speaking specifically about DSOs, a lot of what happened previously is that there would be just a lot of acquiring existing more practices. Like you have five, just let's just acquire five more and five more. You're basically buying EBITDA, right?
Uh-huh.
And because of the environment that we're living in and interest rates being where they are and margins are a lot tighter. So what you hear a lot and what I'm focusing on with DSOs is that making sure that you're taking advantage of the practices that you currently have and maximizing, the growth within the practices. How do you do that, right? There's a lot of headwinds that have always existed inside a dental practice, like everybody knows, right? Revenue cycle gaps, really having control of your data quality issues, missed call opportunities, new patient flow, the old staffing constraints since post COVID, right? A lot of staffing concerns, poor case acceptance. These headwinds have always existed, but those are the areas that you really need to focus on and having technology attack those areas. So if it doesn't attack one of these areas, it's not really something that I recommend that these practices and these DSOs focus on. So if you're looking at just, AI, for example, just something that scans and like looks at contracts, like that's something that a accounting and finance team or operations team can do. Probably don't want to spend the money and impact EBITDA with the platform like that. You want to focus on, revenue generating opportunities like organic growth, saving money and growing the practice. Like those two areas and all those headwinds, I think you need to figure out what those are and what the problems are. And I help by having a conversation, figuring out what those are, and then finding technologies to help with that implementation. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit about it. I mean, I could get into, my personal formula for that, but those are really some of the key areas that I focus on.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's awesome. I think that's one of the things that I see a lot of dental practices, even on a private level, they struggle with is they can never figure out what technology they need to implement into their office to be able to be effective. And that's something that I'm having a conversation with a friend of mine that bought a practice recently. I'm like, you gotta have XYZ of a system in place in order for you to operate. You can't have your office manager do everything and I expect them to answer the calls, do all that. You got to utilize the systems that are out there to be able to, relieve some of that tension off your staff so they can focus on that patient care. So I think it's such an important factor and it's such an important thing that you're doing. So whenever you want to make a recommendation, for example, if you want to recommend, you said some of the things like the RCM, the new patient satisfaction, the missed call opportunities. So when you want to go out, let's say you're coming to me and say, "Hey, Dr. OG, like your RCM is needs improvement." How do you analyze the data that I have, and how are you recommending based on that data? How do you narrow down the company that you recommend to the all practices?
The data, first of all, you need to make sure that it's accurate. I think that's a problem that exists in a lot of cases now, specifically when you talk about multi-location groups. Like, are they on different practice management solutions? And if they are they pulling in the correct data from like an OS Dental or somebody like that that can aggregate it and bring it all together so it's easy to read? That's the first thing. When you're selecting a vendor, especially pick let's just pick AI because it's the topic of conversation everywhere, right?
Mhm.
To me, it's really about a few different things. This isn't rocket science, and I didn't make up the three P's. It's people, it's problem, and it's product. And I actually added a fourth P, and that's proximity. And I could talk a little bit more about that. But first of all, like if you're trying to bring on a software solution, we've decided that it's an RCM solution, right? Who's behind the product. I mean, you don't have to like want to hang out with the founder or want to hang out with the sales rep that you're working with, but at least understand, where these individuals came from. Are they focused on the dental market? Do they have clarity and understand like what's going on in the dental market? Because you see a lot of, especially earlier stage companies that come into our space. I swear they just like spin a map and just point at dental because there's a large total addressable market that exists within the dental landscape. And they're not really specific to dental. So I don't want to go with a vendor that maybe is in veterinary and is in medical, is in furniture, is in everywhere. You want to have
Yeah.
somebody that really is focusing on the dental market and understands it. I've heard stories about, you know, company founders that have spent like a year or 2 years inside of a dental practice to really understand how it works and to see their product performing inside the practice. So I think that's number one is the people. And then what problem are they attacking? Which kind of goes to the headwinds, right? Making sure that it's a problem that it's not just because you see something really cool at a trade show, which my mom told me years ago, like dentists love to buy the shiny new toy, right? And don't necessarily like figure it out in their brain that this is something that I'm going to buy that's going to really impact the business. So, what is the problem that it's solving? And then we haven't even gotten to the product itself. Like, hey, is the product a good product? And also, more importantly, I think you talked about the office manager. Is the product easy to use? Because ultimately, if you're working through change management, making sure that that product is something that the office managers and the teams can use. Because if it could be the greatest thing in the world, it can solve a lot of problems. But if the product is not easy to use for the team, then you're in trouble. And I think the last one that I've recently added because I took a trip to San Francisco to visit with some of these tech founders, especially in the AI space, is like proximity, meaning are the engineers here in the United States? Are the founders like based in an area where innovation is happening? It's just like we talked about Utah. Would you feel more confident a skier or snowboarder that was from Las Vegas or a skier or snowboarder that lived in Park City, Utah? You
Park
probably
City,
would feel,
Utah.
yeah, you probably feel more confident with a skier or snowboarder here in Utah because they're around the mountains. They're around the competition. They're really living in it each day. And if you have a founder of a business that's based in like Indiana, uh, it might be a good product, but I would worry about the longevity and the innovation behind it. So those are some of the ways that I go about it when sitting down and talking to a dental practice owner or a DSO.
That's awesome, man. I think that's such an important thing. The one thing I do want to know though, because I know that AI is such a new thing. I mean, um I had someone from Planet DDS on my podcast, Mr. Mike, and we were kind of debating about Pearl, Overjet, all these different companies that came out with this X-ray AI and all that. And as far as what they do, I want to know like the future of dentistry with the AI. What are you seeing? How have you seen it change the landscape of dentistry? Like, is it good for the marketplace of dentistry? Is it making people lazier? Is it even effective in a way that they were expecting it? Because as we know, like for example, me myself, sometimes like when I'm in my practice, if I want to get like a really detailed note, I may use ChatGPT to ask question or figure something out. But even when I go back, I'm like, even ChatGPT is making mistakes. So AI can make mistakes. It's not perfect. So I want to know, like, is it a reliable resource for the offices to rely on? Is it something that needs improvement? And what direction is it going to go within the next few years?
Yeah. I mean, do we know yet?
You know?
We probably don't, right? Like, I think it remains to be seen.
Yeah,
I'm a believer that it's going to really provide a lot of value. I'm more bullish. I think there's a lot of fear. I learned this recently at Dykema and having some conversations with folks, and I still think there's so much fear that exists, especially as you go to the practice level, that some of these solutions are going to take jobs away. I'm not really the one that can speak real clinical on things. So you're probably the expert as far as really having the pearls and the overjets of the idea to really analyze charts, right? But what I do think is going to happen is that some of these operational AI programs that are supporting RCM, that are supporting, the outbound calls to insurance providers, scrubbing data on the back end, taking administrative burden off of the teams so that they could be more effective. I really am bullish on those things. When I think about the positive effect that that could have on the team dynamic, because I mean, how many people here listening, yourself, you walk into a dental practice and, a lot of times the front desk is on the
absolutely.
phone.
Absolutely.
They ain't talking to a patient.
Yep.
They're usually on
Absolutely.
hold. They're spending like 75% of their day on the phone with insurance companies. So if we could take some of that away, there's missed call opportunities that come in. I think ultimately some of these solutions, especially operationally, because I can speak more to that than I can the clinical side of things,
Mhm.
are really going to take administrative burden off teams, are going to create a better experience for patients. And I do think clinically, as things get better and better, are going to produce better outcomes for patients from a clinical perspective. I just think we don't know yet. We're working it out. It's the early stages, right? But I'm really bullish on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe so too. Like you mentioned, it's so funny that you just said that. I was just having this conversation with Masood. I said, I just want to get to a day that I'm not like walking by, going from room to room, seeing patient, and all I hear, agent, agent, my front staff on the phone. And I've made a joke to to my front staff, my office manager. I said, if the louder you're yelling, it doesn't mean you got to get to anybody faster. So I'm like, it doesn't matter.
No. I mean,
Yeah. So
what percentage of time do you think they're on the phone with insurance companies throughout the day?
all day long. Every patient I have, they have to call the insurance, they have to verify their stuff. And it is frustrating. Sometimes it becomes frustrating even for me because I'm like, we need to figure out a way to focus on the patient experience rather than focusing on the things that are just for us to verify some insurance that is taking 10, 15 minutes, you know? So I can absolutely agree. It's like we're just taking so much time away from people that are in the front to do this type of work that I think it does neglect some of that patient care. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with the part that the AI is going to help drive a lot of be a force essentially for that. Have you seen any AI company that is doing anything with the insurance verifications?
I mean, they're all trying,
They're
right?
all trying. Yeah.
One that I know, Daydream Dental, is
Mm,
one that does some outbound. Voice Care AI is another. There's some out there like Stratus as well. There's some newer companies on the RCM space that do some of that work. It's not perfect yet. Frankly, it's not perfect because insurance companies are just so difficult to work with.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there's companies out there that they're some folks might not have heard of that you should definitely look into as far as what RCM AI are involved. Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. As far as like the space that we're in right now with the way dentistry is, with the way we operate, sometimes with even a scalability, there's something you mentioned earlier that kind of stuck with me is you said that instead of having the DSOs kind of going and 5X in themselves, you help them kind of maximize what they have. So the question for me is that how are you helping them maximize on what they have? And how are you analyzing that to see which area you can help them in? And what do you in particular look at to see how you can help them maximize on things? Because sometimes they're like, oh, it's all clinical. Go do implants, go do endo, go do more for dental procedure, right? So it's interesting that you mentioned that. I want to really know, I want to get behind that because I'm like, wow, that's fascinating, you know?
Yeah, I've had so many conversations, whether it's a clinical director at a DSO or whether it's, a single doctor owner that has associates that are trying to increase their production. I don't think it's like, okay, let's just send these associates to an implant, course so that they can learn how to place implants. Let's send them to Align Technology to increase Invisalign. What I've heard, like again, I'm not a doctor, far from it, is that once you start to teach them something like implants, for example, that might increase, right? And what usually happens is their restorative work decreases. So you're adding something on, but you're also pulling in the other direction. So you're not really increasing production. You're just pulling away from something else that they were doing that they were really good at
Interesting. Yeah.
in place of something maybe they're not necessarily as good at and won't be as productive. So the chair time is not as impactful from a production perspective. But that's not always the case. I'm sure there are stories
Yeah.
out there that exist that that's the opposite. It
Yeah.
really depends upon, what you're going to focus on and what the associate is good at. I think that part is hard, right? For me, it's like, let's have a discovery. Let's sit down and talk about, like, what are the certain things that are challenges for your business operationally. I'll just pick one with missed calls. There, because these individuals are on the phone so much with insurance companies, you can miss a lot of calls that are potential revenue opportunities inside of the day to day, along with outside business hours. So if you have something in place to attack that, then you're gonna have more opportunities and your schedule is going to get filled more with revenue producing opportunities for production. So I tend to lean towards more of the inside same store growth, operational challenges versus like the clinical side of things. Like Eric Roman, amazing at that, right? He's going to
Yeah.
coach up your assistants. He's going to help you help you understand like what your assistants are good at, maybe not so good at, and adjust it. But let's focus on case acceptance, getting patient financing, a good patient financing strategy in place, right? Let's focus on missed call opportunities. Let's focus on those types of things to make your business more efficient.
So really what I'm hearing is you really tap into the operational side and really fill in the gaps that exist in the business and just try to improve on that so you can help them operationally become more efficient.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And companies that are out there to help with understanding data, and like I mentioned, OS Dental, like being able to tap into not only your clinical data, like a dental intel would normally do, right? Like looking at production, looking at hygiene production, looking at case acceptance and everything, right? The basics, but also looking at the financial aspect of it and bringing those both together in one area so that not only can you understand your data, but make decisions based upon where you go, how you train, et cetera, right? There's a lot of ways to do that. But yeah, it's more for me because the most clinical thing I did was back in the day at CareStream. I would go train doctors and assistants on using an intraoral impression scanner. So you know, I'd glove up. I said, "You sure you don't want to do this? Like, I have a marketing degree in communications." The doctor would be like, "No, go ahead, Matt. You're good at this, right?" I'm like, "Well, I'm all right at it." So I would literally train them how to scan in the mouth. That's as clinical as I'm ever going to get. And I'm fine not having saliva all over me. So yeah, I'm the operations guy and AI guy.
Hey, I love it, man. We all have an expertise in something. We're all good at something. No, man, dentistry is definitely, I would say, tell you, I had Dr. Smith on my podcast last week, and we were just talking about that. Some days dentistry becomes a big no-no.
Yeah.
So it's not the funnest thing. So you're
Yeah.
not missing anything.
You guys live in that mouth is that big. I don't know how you do it,
And sometimes even a smaller.
most of the time, right?
Yep. Patients have TMJ problem. They can't even open. You're like, I can't even get the drill in there. So God help us.
But yeah, I mean, and that's to your point, man. Like, how do you expect everybody to come out of school that's focused on that clinical expertise to be able to efficiently understand how to evaluate technology? Like
Absolutely.
you get
Absolutely.
you get sold something at a trade show. Like, that's not the
Yep.
way to go about it.
Absolutely. I think I'm so glad you brought that up. And one of my goal when I graduated dental school and I kind of saw everything that was going on in the dental world. That's really why I came up with the idea of DentMed to build this platform out, to be able to connect people that are in the industry with this younger dentists that graduate dental school because I saw such a lack of opportunity in the space. When I graduated, one, there was no sense of help. Nobody was there to help you because we leave dental school. You're part of this huge community of dental school, and then you leave. There is nobody there to tell you anything anymore. So that's really why the idea of Dentman came about because I wanted to be able to connect the expert like yourself with the younger doctor or seasoned doctor and really be able to educate them on really this big pie that you talked about and really make them understand what they need to do. Because if you're able to do that early on, you can empower so many people along the way that's why like I was so fascinated to build Dentman and just kind of push through that. But because I think that's one of the things that dental school don't teach us is they don't teach us about the industry, they don't teach us about leadership, they don't teach us about business. All they do is they just put 5 book in front of us. They're like, memorize this and then come back, repeat it to us, and that's it. So
I love what you I love what you're doing, man. I mean, that's
thank
it's
you.
a great purpose, right? Because it's a huge gap that exists.
Yeah,
You
for
would
sure.
think there would at least be like a class on just running your own practice or the differences between private practice and DSOs and
Yeah, so
maybe the biggest misnomers about DSOs, like the advantages of both, like having an objective view so that there's a bit of education, like understanding equity and what you can ask for coming out of school, like helping you be ready. So filling that gap is a great mission.
thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, man. I made it my life mission. So I'm keep working on it every day. I get on these calls with these developers. I'm like, keep working, don't stop.
Yeah, there's a guy that he's in Park City. His name's Evan Lapointe. Core Sciences is his business. So think of like disc tests, all
Yes.
the different colors, but he would hate that I'm comparing it to disc test. It's not disc test. It's a real scientific way of figuring out like, and a lot of it focuses on purpose. It's like a personality profile, but it helps with leadership.
I see.
And he talks a lot about purpose and making sure that and a lot of people think about purpose and think it's just like a super in-depth, deep thing that you have to have like this amazing purpose. Like we watch movies and TV shows, and you know, you can have a purpose just to be a good dentist, to be a good leader and lead your team because each day your purpose is to serve and to provide value to your team and to your patients, right? And if you live that way, you're more, the percentage of success is going to be much higher.
It's higher.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember, I'm so glad you brought this up, and I got to give a shout out. I got advice. It was the first week of my school, and I had a doctor, Dr. Mark, and we were sitting in class, and all of a sudden he got super emotional. It was an ethic class, and he was talking about his office that he was in, and then he sold the office, and he talked about when he worked as a dentist and he had his private practice, when he served his patient with a purpose and he focused on them, his business was like skyrocketing. And he's like, the moment he brought the business guy into his business, His business plummet because all the focus was money, money, money. So like that's exactly it. It's like if you focus on have a purpose of serving somebody, the patient will see and feel that you're going to give them so much value for what you're doing that they're going to have no problem providing you financially with money and everything else. But if your focus so much is always like money, 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 it's always going to be harder to achieve something. So yeah, I agree, totally agree. I think having a purpose is such an important thing that is going to help kind of thrive things. So
It
it's very,
absolutely.
very
I
important.
try to live by, um, connection, the connection, execution, and impact. And I think you could put purpose over top of that.
Yeah,
I want to do those things. I want to connect people. I want to execute on the goals that we achieve together and ultimately have an impact. And
nice.
going into it with that sort of mentality, whatever your buzzwords are from yourself, purpose is definitely one to start with. I just think the money's going to come, the success is going to come, whatever the outcome is, desired or not. You just learn from it and you move on, right? I mean, I think it's
Yep.
just a way to live.
Yeah. Well, as you're saying things, by the way, I'm taking notes. Don't think I'm not. I always have my flashcards here. I'm just
I
taking
love it.
notes. Yeah, man. I enjoy this kind of conversation. Honestly, like that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast because I'm so fascinated to talk to people and learn from them. I'm a student of the game. I learn something new every day. It's so amazing to me. I graduated dental school about 3 years ago, but the one thing that I love about dentistry and dental field in general, I mean, dentistry, I love doing dentistry. I don't think I will ever stop doing it because I love doing it so much. But it doesn't matter where my direction of life goes. But the one thing that I love about dental field and the people that are in it is that they are so open to conversation. And I love that. Like I haven't seen that in any other field because I have friends that are in medical, that are in pharmacy, that are nurse. And they're like, man, like I'm so amazed. Like I started this podcast 8 months ago and I already done like 60 plus episodes, 6,000 subscriber, 90,000 views. And it's just so amazing that I got into this community of dentists and people that are in it. And every single person that I reached out to, like I haven't really had anybody saying no. And I'm just so grateful for that. I think it's such an amazing feeling to feel like you're part of something and people are supporting you along the way. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that a
Yep.
lot.
That's why the number one P is people for me.
Yep. Yeah.
That you're right. Scotty Hudsmith, who's now the president of the ADSO and the CEO of Specialized Dental Partners, like he told me that a little over a year ago. He's like, what you'll realize, Matt, if you haven't already, is that everybody, even when they compete against each other in the dental world, are still willing to provide insights and help when asked. And
Yeah.
that's a great industry to be a part of.
It is, man. It is an amazing industry. And I freaking hate the fact that we didn't get to meet that Daikemon.
Totally.
I, I promise you, we probably walk past each other.
I guarantee it. It was madness. So yeah,
I know.
sorry we didn't get to sync up.
Hey, it's all good, man. Well, I'll come up to Utah. Well, you live well for audience, Mr. Matt lives in one of the nicest area in Salt Lake City. Park City is top notch.
We're lucky,
Yeah, man.
man. We love it here.
I know. And Park City is beautiful. I'm gonna tell you my Park City story. It was beginning of the winter and we were gonna go to the ice castle and we had to go
Yeah.
up the Park City. And I remember I had this little Honda Civic and I got up the mountain. I was like at the edge of the mountain trying to go up and the police pulled me over. He's like, you have a chain on your tire? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I'm this kid that moved from New York to like Utah. It's like I've been there, I think 3 months. I'm like, what chain are you talking about? I'm from New York City, bro. What are you talking about? I'm a New York guy, man. I'm gonna go up this mountain. It's nothing. It's like, man, you need to go and take the next exit and go back. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
What did you do?
I drive mile up and my car got stuck.
You were one of those.
I never forget this story. Cracked me up.
Yeah, you were one
We
of them.
regularly Yep, we went up, and I was just going up the turn, and my car got stuck. I'm like, "Here you go, $500." Yeah, man, that Park City Mountain is no joke.
Gotta have all-wheel drive around here, buddy.
My God, that's crazy, man. That's insane. Yeah, I actually used to come up to Park City, and we used to go up to that Whole Food. I love that Whole Food there. We used to just go up there and just study there, hang out.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I love it over
We
there. We
just
used to
got
come up.
burgers from there with my dad in town. I got the burgers from
Yeah,
Whole
nice.
Foods. Yep,
That's awesome,
they've got
man.
a great cold brew.
I know they do, man. They do. They really do. Yeah, we used to hang out up there a lot. Man, Park City was our spot. We used to come up there all the time. And then, but one of my friends, she was like, it was our first year of dental school, and she never done any skiing, no snowboarding, and me neither. And the poor girl, we went up the mountain, and she freaking pulled her ACL.
Cheers.
And she was like, I'm like, well, there goes my skiing career. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be doing that.
It's still
I'll
here,
stick to the
so
hiking. I
you're welcome
know.
to come try with me.
Hey, I will. You know what? For me, I always told myself, I'm like, man, I'm 6'5", I'm too tall. If I fall, there's a lot of body falling.
Yeah. Dude, you're 6'5", and you didn't stop me, and I didn't see you. I definitely had a pass you at some.
I'm sure we did, and I freaking hate the fact that we didn't get to connect. But I'll definitely come to Utah for us to hang out. So, Mr. Matt, the one thing I want to know before I let you go, what is the future of dentistry look like in the next 3 to 5 years? Technology wise, AI wise, the staffing issue, is the AI going to help with that? As you know, staffing has become such a big problem in the industry, especially post COVID. Dr. Roman mentioned it too, that we're still suffering because of it. Do you believe that what is the future going to be like 3 to 5 years? Technology, AI, and the staff and everything else.
It's a tough question. I don't have the answer. I can give you an opinion, right?
Sure, sure.
So I started writing. Sarah actually recommended that I started a newsletter. So I started a newsletter called DSO Compass. And the reason I bring that up is not a shameless plug. It's because
No, please
I
do.
wrote an article about on LinkedIn about like the future of dentistry. It's further down the road. It was just like a
Yeah,
thought exercise.
yeah,
Um, because I was thinking about like self drive. You been in like a Waymo yet?
yeah,
Yeah. So like self driving cars. So I
yeah.
started to think about, like, let's say we have to go to the dentist, and like I talked about like Optimus, like the robot, like sending my robot to the grocery store, to the Whole Foods
Hmm.
down the street, while I'm being while my car is driving me to the doctor, to the dentist, like
Yeah,
30 minutes away. Like I'm on my laptop working as the car is driving. I get to the parking lot, there's no intake forms. It automatically like checks me in. It has all my data and information. All of that was done beforehand. Like I get a ping that it's my turn. I walk into the practice. You know, it's not somebody on the phone with an insurance company. It's like more of, you ever been to like a spa and
yeah,
had like a greeter that comes out to you and like walks you around the spa and gives you a tour of everything. Like that's how I see my first visit being with the doctor. Like there's some experience coordinator, that not a front desk staff or office manager, you know, somebody that is really involved in providing a good experience. You know, you walk back, you get time with the doctor because they don't have to sit and do clinical notes. They can utilize AI for the clinical notes. Maybe, you know, hygienists are really supported through some interesting technology. You know, all the different imaging platforms we talked about, like all
uh-huh.
the AI is helping diagnose. It just provides the patient a better experience, a more intrusive, in a positive way, experience, all the way to helping clinically diagnose things. You know, even implant surgeries, some of those can be done by robots these days.
Yeah,
So I'm not
absolutely.
real bearish on the impact of what dentistry could look like through all this technology. Think about it as maybe it'll be a really, really cool, interesting, fun experience because of all this tech that's going to exist. Like some of this might be further down the road, But the idea that some of this administrative burden goes away, like I feel like is a realistic expectation over the next 3 to 5 years. Some of these AI companies like Dental Bee that are out there that are analyzing patient visits and helping assistants, be more effective, helping case presentations and case conversions. There's a lot of learning that's happening, clinical notes, compliance, all that stuff. So it's going to be an interesting few years. I think 3 to 5 years going back in this conversation it'd be fun to look and see like how this conversation happened and what actually did happen. But yeah, I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited about being involved in it. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I love it, man. Well, this podcasts are all going to be on YouTube. So we go back 3 years from now. We're like, man, what happened?
Yeah, it's like going back, looking at the experts
I know.
prediction for the NFL season, talking about how terrible a team's going to be, or vice versa, right? We'll be
I
able to look
know.
back at the prediction and laugh at it.
I know. It's so interesting that you said this because I brought a couple of people that are in the tech world. The one thing I do want to know is that why dentistry is so behind in some of the technology.
Yeah,
Because I look at medical and some of my friend is a doctor and I talk to him. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, we don't have this. He's like, dude, this makes no sense. How do you guys not have this? Why is that with dentistry? Is it the regulation? Is it the people? Is like what is the reason behind?
my personal opinion is it's the people.
Really? Okay.
I think the regulation is a part of it, but a lot of that is similar to medical, right? Like there's not a lot of it's the people. A lot of it is legacy systems that are making it more difficult to innovate. Practice management solutions that are not playing nice and not integrating maybe like they could, not providing data like they could. I think there's a part of it, but I think we live in an interesting industry with a tight knit group of people. I had a founder of an earlier stage company say, "Is this like the last relationship oriented business that exists in America?" Because they have trouble breaking in because of the individuals that are in it, and it kinda keeps everything real close knit. So I think there's a lot of different factors, but I think the people for sure, legacy systems integrating effectively are a couple of the different reasons why. That's my opinion. I don't know if you talked to
Yeah.
anybody else and got theirs, but I think that's the driver.
Yeah. I actually had Rivers, he's the CEO and founder of Hey Donto on, and he said something very similar that like these companies, because what he's trying to do is collect all the data and for the data to be able to be transferable and all that. And he was saying the same thing that a lot of these big PMS companies, they don't want to like allow people to integrate into their data, tap into their data. So like even though they're trying to kind of improve the system and they're trying to help bring some of this newer technology into it, a lot of these bigger companies or the people that are in the industry don't really want other people to tap into their system or know about their system, which I don't know why. I mean, I guess they want to protect their business, but if it's going to help better the industry, why not? I think they should just let people do what they need to do to better it.
I think we'll eventually break through it, but we are behind. You're accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope it gets better before my lifetime. At
Yeah,
least that.
me too.
At least
We'll we'll do our part, right?
we do our all we can do is do our part. That's the only thing we can do, and that's the only thing we can control. Mr. Matt, I promise this is my last question. So if you
It's your
had to
third
give
last question.
but I promise this is the I always say this, but I always some question pops up in my head. But if you had to give an advice to a young dentist that is graduating dental school that are transitioning out, because really, like I said, my goal is to be able to educate these younger doctors that are coming out. Like you said, DSO, private practice, finding your purpose, finding the people, finding connection, setting up the expectation, and having an impact. What would be an advice that you can give them to make their transition a little bit easier?
A dentist, huh? Like I said many times before, clinical is not me, but I would say mindset.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah. To me, it's gotta be mindset. It has to be make a decision about if you're gonna go to a DSO or if you're gonna open your own practice, like, make sure you have a growth and not fixed mindset. You want to learn. You realize you're not the best in the world. You have the ability not only to learn clinically, but also learn how to be a leader. And then if you're going into a DSO, like the same thing, like go into that, have a growth mindset instead of the fixed mindset, and try and learn as you go from the individuals that have been in it. And then going back to advice I received from my mentor in life, my mother, the person that gave birth to me, just show up, man. Like,
Show up.
just show up and do your job. Yeah, don't be like attached to the outcomes all the time. Yeah, that's a big part just of in general, just having a good mindset. So yeah, those would be the few things that I would definitely recommend. Really, anybody that's entering a new world that they haven't explored. What you don't know is what you don't know. Like you just, and if you have that growth mindset instead of having this fixed, this is how I do it. Because a lot of dentists, I feel like Eric Roman probably talked about this, like have that very fixed. This is how it has to be done. This is what it looks like. Like a lot of that clinically has to happen, right? Like because there's procedures and processes. But yeah, you still have to understand that you don't know it all, and just go at it with the right mindset.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you as a dentist, sometimes that ego gets on the way of certain things. So I can definitely tell you that that's one of the biggest problems.
I mean, finding out like when to let that, because sometimes your ego might be right. It might push you to the outcome that is desired by all, right? But sometimes it might not. And that balance of understanding when to push it and when not is got to be a difficult challenge for a doctor.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Matt, I'm so glad that we got to meet in person. Well, I hate the fact that we didn't get to meet at Daikinwa, but I'm sure we'll meet down the road somewhere. Mr. Matt, thank you so much for hopping on. I'm always grateful for people that give me their time because I know time is such a valuable asset for everybody. The fact that you came on, gave us information, I learned so much. I took, at least 6, 7 page of notes. I'll take those with me, put them in
Thanks, man.
my notepad, and just keep learning from people like yourself because I think the people like you that are in the industry are helping others to become better, helping the industry to improve, and helping just overall making that patient experience better. I'm so grateful for you guys because I think as a dentist, sometimes we don't realize how much things have to go behind the scene to make that patient experience better. And sometimes we take that for granted. So I'm grateful for what you're doing, man. I hope I meet you in person in Utah or anywhere else. And thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Enjoyed it.
All right. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.